Yo, what's up guys, it's Suraj from Tech Devoted and today we're taking a look at the Sigma 56mm f1.4 contemporary lens for the Sony E-Mount system. Man, every time I review a contemporary lens I gotta take a deep breath. It's such a huge name, but anyway, I had the chance to use this lens for a while and today I want to talk about my experience with it. On screen I'm going to play footage that I shot with the lens. All of it was shot in stock Cine 1 or Picture Profile 5 as it's called, using the Sony A6300, which was then color graded in Final Cut Pro. So speaking of the lens itself, it is part of the same lineup as the 30mm and the 16mm, which in my opinion are fantastic lenses. So I started using this 56mm with the same kind of expectations, and did it deliver? Well, for the most part, yes. For starters, the build quality on this is absolutely stellar. If you've used any of the other contemporary lenses, you'll feel right at home with this one. It's built just the same way, which means it's mostly metal, built like a tank. One thing though that is different than the other lenses is that on this 56mm you can actually see the aperture blades. If you look at the front lens element, you have 9 blades, which means you'll get that almost round bokeh. So that is super cool to see. Apart from that, the focus ring is still the same fly-by-wire system that you'll see on other contemporary lenses that I'm not a particularly big fan of, but I am getting used to. The autofocus on this is surprisingly not that great. There was actually a considerable amount of hunting in my experience with the lens, which is kind of disappointing because I had pretty high expectations. With the same autofocus settings, the 16mm performed a lot better. Now, one thing I noticed with this lens is that sometimes you get this rainbow flare in the footage. This happened 3 to 4 times, so I don't think it's some sort of accident, and while I don't know exactly the cause behind it, I can confirm that none of the other contemporary lenses had this effect or flare, so it's just a little strange that it exists. Is it a deal breaker? I don't know, and in fact, the friend that I shot this clip for actually liked the flare, so I guess it is now an artistic effect that you can put in all of your music videos. I'm kidding. Really, it's up to you whether you like it or not. Sharpness wise, the 56mm was extremely sharp, corner to corner, even wide open. The lens did not at all disappoint. I did test vignetting, and unfortunately I don't have pictures to back this up as I lost the photos, but I can give you my word that even the vignetting on this lens was a step up in comparison to the 30mm and the 16mm. In fact, having recently used the 35mm art lens, which is designed for full frame cameras, I can tell you that the 56 is the closest to the art lens, especially in terms of sharpness. So Sigma is not lying when they say this lens is capable of giving the big full frame boys a run for their money. Now, Sigma did send this lens out to me for review purposes and I have returned it, but will I be buying the 56 for my own use? Probably not, and it's not because I think it's a bad lens, it's just that it's just not the right focal length for me. I used to shoot purely on a 50mm when I was part of the Canon camp, but ever since I switched to the Sony side of things, I found that I like 30mm just a lot more. I did shoot some portraits while I had this lens to get the samples, but I still like the 30 better. It's not as tight and it allows me to shoot product, travel, a bit of everything. It's versatile, whereas on the 56 you're pretty much tied to just portraits and street. Again, it's not a bad lens if you do portraits or even for slow motion, B-roll and all that goodness. 56 is a great focal length, and combine that with the 1.4 and you have some solid performance. And I'm gonna get asked if this is worth buying over the Sony 50mm, so I'm gonna answer that question right now. Well, I haven't had the chance to compare the two lenses side by side, but I already know, and I can tell you this even without testing the two lenses side by side, the Sigma is sharper. It's just sharper, period. The Sony, however, has an edge in terms of stabilization. It has OSS. The Sony is also cheaper. Size-wise, they are the same, so travel won't be an issue either way, but decide depending on whether you want the sharpness or the stabilization. So yeah, that's about it for this video. If you liked it and if you found it helpful, give it a like. If you did not, vote it down. Let me know in the comments why you didn't like it. I know I've been away for a while, but I promise you I'll be back with more videos very soon. It's been Suraj. Thanks so much for watching. Take it easy and stay devoted.